Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. My name's Giusi and I'm an intuitive healer and holistic practitioner. I talk about topics that have to do with healing, spiritual awakening, healing from narcissistic abuse, and changing our subconscious programming, as well as autism and dealing with autistic burnout and things like that. So if you're new here, please like and subscribe. And today's topic is actually going to be about a video I made about a year ago called Misinterpreted Connections and Why They Affect Us So Much. So I'm actually going to revisit this through a different lens. So when I made that video at the time, I did not know yet that I was autistic. And so I'm going to apply that lens to this because it actually is a very important detail in the whole subject. So on my journey, first of all, let me start by saying what a misinterpreted connection is, if you don't know what that means. Misinterpreted connections means when you interpret a connection, whether it's romantic or with a friendship or anything like that, in a manner and the other person does not see you the same way. You do not hold the same value for them as they do to you. So this will be like thinking someone, really being into someone and feeling like they feel the same way about you, or you really, going out of your way for people and showing up for people because you think that they're your really good friend, but then they don't do the same in return for you, and they do not put you in that same spot in their life as you do for them. So let's talk about this and why this seems to be a really big thing for autistic people. Now I've been part of a lot of communities now where like support groups online, communities on social media, and doing a lot of, sorry, my throat's a bit dry, so I have to keep hydrated because I was gonna have like a coughing fit. This is my second time recording this. So what I've gathered, this seems to be a common theme for a lot of autistic people. And in my previous video, I talk about how when we're authentic and show up a certain way, we kind of have this expectation that other people will show up the same way or are showing us that same version of themselves to us. But this is not the case, as you will soon learn, unfortunately, in very painful ways. When you finally learn that someone doesn't feel the same way back for you that you did for them, it feels, for lack of a better word, so incredibly shitty. It feels very painful. It hurts when you really valued someone so much and they were super important to you and you really thought that that was reciprocal. And then when you realize that it's not at all, that feels very painful. And because a lot of us have rejection sensitivity dysphoria, I think it's called, that can feel even more painful for autistic people. So let's talk about that. Now, why is it that we misinterpret connections? Well, going back to how we show up authentic and things like that. So even though some of us might, like a lot of us, once we get comfortable with people, we might super overshare and really be someone who shows up really strongly for other people. But then we also might be super shy and withdrawn too. But either way, we give our energy 100% when we show up with people, and whether it's a more subdued, quiet version of ourselves or a louder, more oversharing version of ourselves, we're always showing up authentically as ourselves, as who we are. We're never pretending to be someone, pretending to be a different version of ourselves, pretending to be and that has nothing to do with masking, because masking is something entirely different, in my opinion. Masking is a way for people to be neurotypical passing in society, so that we don't look so weird and stick out, not having our emotional meltdowns in public and keeping it together and seeming very calm and collected and all these various things. seeming like we're, this polished version of ourselves, when behind closed doors it might be something entirely different, very far from that version of that polished version of ourselves. But other than that, even though we're masking, we're still pretty like authentic the way we show up. And so let's go back to the misinterpreted connections. So what ends up happening is that we meet people, we spend time with them, time goes by, lots of time, or become friends with people, and we develop connections with people. And autistic people, as far as I know for myself, I do not develop connections very easily. I'm very avoidant leaning, which I learned is something that a lot of autistic people are. I'm very authentic, and if I don't click with you, then I'm not going to pretend to be your friend or want to hang out with you and do all these things. It's just, I don't waste my time trying to like pretend to be friends with people. I used to do that when I was younger, when I was like super high masking and when I was drinking a lot and things like that. I would just hang out with people for the sake of hanging out with people, and I would just like do whatever and go to parties and all that stuff, and I had this like really active social life. But now that is not who I am. That is not what I want to do. I hang out with the people that I click with. So when we do meet someone and we instantly feel this connection to them and we want to talk to them and bond or whatever, we start to form internally, because a lot of us like live internally in our head. Okay, you have to remember that we have like all these like excess neurons in our brains, and they're constantly going. And with that, we are, thinking about like all these different things in our head constantly, scenarios, plans, different versions of things. This is constantly playing in our minds, like all the time. We don't have any control over it. It just happens, and it's exhausting. It's very exhausting. So this is happening when we meet people too. Okay, so please excuse us. It's not intentional. We don't want to do it. It just happens. And so when we meet people, friends, romantic interests, whatever, we've already like, because we have, what's it called? They were talking about this when we were talking about like catastrophizing and pattern recognition and things like that. I like to think of it as being hooked up to like the mainframe. And so immediately, this is like really messed up, and I don't know if I'm pretty sure it doesn't happen to neurotypical people, but the one thing that happens is like that the minute you form like a connection with someone, or you meet someone, or there's an interest or something like that, immediately every like single possible like outcome just starts to like be plugged in. It's like someone literally grabs, like, how can I put this, like they just grab a plug and just like, you meet someone, connect, oh yeah, okay, and then you just get downloaded all this shit in your head like all at once, and you get flooded with it, and it's like insane. And you just have so much like scenarios, so you're constantly running these like things in your brain, not by choice. And so you connect with someone, you're authentic, you feel like they're authentic. Now you're creating this version of your relationship with this person. And it's not that you're making it up, but you are already like forming this bond and going ahead and knitting the fabric of that in your brain, because you're like, hey, I found this person. We're the same. We vibe. I like them, and we connect. We're going to be friends. And then like, this isn't like, not to be confused with like limerence, where you might meet someone or see someone and you form like a complete fabricated thing in you imagine a fabricated reality with this person. That's not what I'm talking about here, and that is something completely different. So I just need to make that distinction here. But it doesn't mean that if you do like someone romantically that you don't daydream about them and all the possible scenarios. But what I mean is, we're talking about like friendships and romantic interests that you actually spend time with, and that you spend time together, and there might have been like some key things that occurred that gave you the gave you the idea that this person may or may not have like, felt similarly towards you, or also really valued you, etc. So fast forward to lots of time passing, and you form this connection with a person, and they're a friend or someone you like or whatever. And now you've established this foundation in your own like brain of what this person means to you. We need to like categorize things. It's just the way it is. Like so this person is our person, whether it's like a romantic sister or a friend. This person is our person. They're my people. And so we have established that our brain recognizes now that this person is our person. So as time goes by, and now all of a sudden this person is showing you things that they're not actually like your person, or don't feel about you the same way, and then you suddenly realize like that you're not on the same level as like to that other person as they are to you. And then all of a sudden there's like this thing that happens in your brain where it feels like a collapse of your reality. I don't know how to explain it. It's very difficult to explain, but it feels very like the carpet's pulled from underneath you, you know, like because we don't invest time in people. We like to be alone. We really like to be alone. We value our alone time. We value intentional things. We value the depth of things. And so if we do find someone that we value enough that we want to spend time with them, then it's because we assumed that this person is also on the same boat, like, and also feels the same way as us. But then when that doesn't occur and we find out that this person is either like using us, which for a lot of us that ends up happening, unfortunately, they're using us, or they're just like, you know, needed some, like I said, they needed something from us, they're using us, they're manipulative, they're controlling, or they're just like narcissistic, or they just didn't think about you in that way. They just are something that neurotypical people are able to do is have very to do very easily is to have a lot of acquaintances, like non-deep connections, and just have like a plethora of people around them that are just like no depth, no connection. And this is something I can't wrap my head around at all. So it's like, so they've categorized us as one of the floaters in the outer existence. And maybe they have some close friends, but they're capable of, you know, engaging in outside people with moments of depth, but those people not meaning anything. Whereas like me, I don't like do that with random people, and I don't like to share those parts of me with outside people. And when I share one-on-one time with people, then there's this, you know, kind of like unspoken agreement. It's not really an agreement, but there's an unspoken kind of thing happening where I feel like we're deeply connected and that I feel like that. But this is clearly only happening in my head, because afterwards you learn that the other people don't think that way about you, and that you're not that close of a friend to them as you felt that they were to you. And they could easily discard you, that they could easily just replace you, that they could easily occupy their time with other people. And so that feels like really hurtful, because we feel like really deep attachments to people, not just people, even their belongings. We feel like deep attachments to things in general, to people. And so it feels really, really hard to navigate that as a neurodivergent individual. I'm not sure like if it's like that for ADD folks, but like I can only speak for myself. And so what I want to talk about is like the fact that you have to become intentional with your friendships and relationships after this. I've had to learn how to do this, because I felt like I just was in this repeated cycle of getting into these misinterpreted connections with not just like people I like, but like with my friends, where it was really one-sided, and and I would just always be like shafted in these like friendships and things like that. And so even though they might even throw the word like bestie, or someone like things like that around, they never really treated me that way. And so now I had to learn how to advocate for myself. A lot of like when you learn you're autistic, and you know, being an autistic person as an adult really comes with like advocating. This is general healing. When you start healing and healing your patterns and things like that, it consists of a lot of beginning to advocate for yourself, beginning to be vocal about your needs and requirements, and beginning to set boundaries. And that is so important. And so for me now, it is a requirement when I meet people, like if they're my friends and things like that, I established this like really open two-way street and I really have conversations around that about what they mean to me, and that it's important for me to have friendships like that. And so I have a very small like circle of friends that I can probably count on my one hand with 5 fingers, and usually spend one-on-one time with all of them, and they're amazing. My friends are absolutely amazing. They are so great. They are so supportive when I need them, but I'm equally as supportive. If they need something from me, I will be there for them in a heartbeat. And they're able to have deep, rich conversations. They're able to really reflect on their own stuff. They're able to meet me where I am. I'm never like second guessing and feeling like they're flaking on me and just like discarding me kind of thing. I never feel like they're using me or any of that stuff. Like I feel valued with them. And this is really important because when you have lived your whole life having these one-sided friendships where you felt like used the whole time, like being able to establish these types of connections is really important. And this goes with your romantic lives too. If you are someone who wants to like date or create like a romantic partnership with someone, it's important that you establish all this stuff from the beginning. Don't let it go by the wayside and form like an attachment to someone, and then after so long it's like this person like literally gives no f's about you. So please don't do that to yourself. So learn how to vocalize things to people right from the get-go, and the more you can show up as yourself and be clear about your expectations and your requirements and things like that, the more you'll find the people who can actually be that way for you. So when we let go of these people and the people who, because sometimes what happens is when we misinterpret connections, we will be like, okay, well, like I'll let that person stay. No. Like if you want this, then don't accept things that aren't that. Accept this. Okay? You have to learn how to let go of the things that you don't want in order to let in the things that you do want. This is very important. Goes with everything. This isn't just an autistic thing. This is a law of attraction thing. This is for healing. If you want something, you have to let go of the things that are not that. If you want something, you have to let go of the things that are not that. I want you to say that over and over again. If you want something, you have to let go of the things that are not that. That's just the way it is. So what are we learning here? We're learning that autistic people probably have a higher rate of misinterpreting connections because of the way our brains work, because of our authenticity and how we show up, and our expectation that other people are also going to show up in this manner with us. However, they do not, because neurotypical people are not like that at all. No. So number 2, we have to learn how to vocalize our needs and to draw clear lines in the sand and have boundaries and vocalize our requirements and needs. It's really important. And number 3, we need to remove and let go of the people who are not what we want. And that, lastly, to know that we are deserving of the connections that we want, these safe and beautiful reciprocal connections. And that way we don't have to feel like we're like misinterpreting everything around us. We want to feel like, you know, I value this person and I know that this person also values me and also feels this way about me and also, you know, respects me and thinks highly of me. Those are the people we want in our you know, in our circle. Those are the people you should have in your circle, and those are the people that you deserve in your circle. Okay, so I hope this was helpful. Let me know your experience with all this. I would love for you to share that. Anyways, take care of yourself, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.